Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's Voice of the World. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Russian President Putin invites India's Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia. France's Macron tells Israel's Netanyahu about the need for durable ceasefire as Israel launches heavy strikes across Hamas targets in Gaza. US announces $250 million military assistance package for Ukraine. And in sports, South Africa takes lead on the second day of the Test match against India after an unbeaten century from veteran Dean Elgar and 50 on debut from David Bedingham. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Wednesday. Discussions were held on a wide range of issues, including Ukraine conflict.
With an aim to take the Russia-India partnership to new heights, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Wednesday. During the meeting, President Putin invited India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Russia, saying it will give both countries an opportunity to discuss all current issues and also explore the scope of future bilateral ties.
We
will be glad to see our friend, Mr. Prime Minister Modi, in Russia. We will be able to discuss all current issues and talk about the prospects for the development of Russian-Indian relations. We have a lot of work to do, so I ask you to convey to him my best wishes and please pass on our invitation. We are waiting for him in Russia.
As soon as the meeting began, the Russian president highlighted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's willingness to do his best to resolve the Ukraine crisis peacefully.
We know the position of Prime Minister Modi and we have spoken about this more than once. His position regarding his attitude towards complex processes, including flashpoint areas and the situation in Ukraine.
In his remarks, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar conveyed the warm greetings of Prime Minister Modi and handed over a personal message to President Putin.
First of all, please allow me to convey the personal greetings of Prime Minister Modi. He has also, through me, sent a letter to you, a letter expressing his thoughts about the state of our cooperation and the progress that we have made in recent days, and I will have the honor to give you the letter. Certainly, Mr. President, he looks forward to visiting Russia next year.
External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, who is on a 5-day visit to Russia, also had a comprehensive and a productive meeting with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, on Wednesday. As strategic partners, discussions were also held on international situations and contemporary issues, including defense partnerships. With Anita Raj, Amit Mukherjee for DD India.
And DD India correspondent Meghna Dev joins us live now. Meghna, good morning. We've just given a report on the meeting of External Affairs Minister with the Russian President, and a number of important issues were taken up apart from exchange of greetings. Let us understand more from you the significance of this meeting between External Affairs Minister and the Russian President, given the fact that Ukraine conflict was also taken up between both the sides.
Yes, we definitely know that the External Affairs Minister is on a 5-day-long visit to Russia, and I guess his Moscow leg is almost over. He will be heading for St. Petersburg, and there he will also have some engagements. But importantly, he called on the Russian president, and very importantly, they had discussions on what discussions External Affairs Minister already had with Sergei Lavrov, as well as the Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the chair of the Russian Intergovernmental Committee Commission. So we also definitely see that there has been a lot of talks in terms of amplifying trade, because the trade has reached beyond the $50 billion milestone. That definitely speaks volumes of how much more potential that is. President Putin also said that this is obviously because of the oil sector, and the energy sector. But besides that, also there is a lot that India and Russia are doing together in high-tech areas. Besides that, we definitely see that there had been talks when we are talking about the meeting that External Affairs Minister had with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. He also did say that there was a talk on fertilizers, and there is also talks on military equipment, technology, manufacturing, and more. So defense manufacturing and defense cooperation is one of the major areas. But when we talk about his meeting with President Putin, definitely there was discussions on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stand on the turbulence in the world and the changing geopolitical situation in the world, the conflicts. He also did say that we know Prime Minister Narendra Modi's attitude and his stand in the hotspots as well as in the conflict in Ukraine. And President Putin also said that he has time and again appraised PM Modi on the situation in Ukraine. And he also did say that he is expecting Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia next year. Besides, we obviously know that Russia is the chair for the BRICS in the coming year. So there definitely is a lot that can be done in that sector as well. We know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi did attend the 15th BRICS summit in Johannesburg in South Africa, and coming year when Russia is the president for the BRICS, President Putin clearly said that we know that we have traditional friends in Asia, and India is one of those traditional friends. So discussion on the priority areas for the BRICS is also extremely crucial as well as important when we are talking about including other countries as well. But having said that, there has been more discussions specifically on the trade aspect and obviously the conflict in Ukraine that President Putin also mentioned during his conversation with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar.
All right, so trade, fertilizers and Ukraine conflict were the highlights of the meeting. Meghna, the External Affairs Minister is on a 5-day visit to Russia, and we believe that the second leg of his visit begins, that is to St. Petersburg. Let us understand more from you as to how do you evaluate the visit so far.
So let's actually recall what External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said while he was, beginning his meeting with Sergei Lavrov, his counterpart, his Russian counterpart, that we expect a big delegation for the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit that is going to be held in January this coming year. So definitely in St. Petersburg, he will be meeting more people for that aspect as well, because Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit is a biennial investors summit, and it's a global summit for businesses, and biennially, just because it did not happen the previous 2 times because of the COVID pandemic, but this time around it's happening, and we have already seen in the past Vibrant Gujarat Global Summits that there has been a massive representation from Russia, and obviously Russian governors and other major stakeholders also specifically from the East Russia, they also definitely come and attend the summit. So that is something that is very important when we are talking about Russian representation in terms of trade and economy to the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. So that is going to be something very specific and important. Besides that, also speaking to businesses means that when we already have in this 9 months crossed the milestone of $50 billion US, we are expecting to move beyond that, and the trade has been at an all-time high in the past 2 years. So that definitely means there is a lot more potential. While India is also trying to ensure that India's exports to Russia grow. So for that matter also there might be discussions, and that was also discussed with the Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov when External Affairs Minister met him. And definitely we saw that in the previous meetings that he had in this visit, he definitely discussed on domestic nuclear energy. Kundakulam project was discussed, and there has been discussions on defense manufacturing, as well as when he saw the exhibition, the Deputy Prime Minister also showed him that what Russia has been able to achieve in the digital space as well. So there are a few areas definitely of cooperation that can be enhanced, and that have more potential to be enhanced. But besides that, his visit to St. Petersburg will be more on the business side, and is expected more to be on the business side of talks.
All right, Meghna, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent Meghna Dev joining us and getting us the details of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's visit to Russia. Now we turn focus to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel is expanding its ground offensive into Gaza as it warns the war with Hamas will last for months. Heavy fighting is also continuing in the south, in the city of Khan Yunis. Israeli military spokesman Daniel Hagari said on Wednesday that troops were working in several areas of Gaza, particularly around Al-Burej and Khan Yunis, which it described as a terror base for Hamas.
In the south, we are working in several areas of Gaza. One is called Al-Burej. It is an area in the central refugee camps. We are on the third day of attack there, and we are killing many terrorists and destroying terror infrastructure. The second is Khan Yunis in the southern strip, a central terror base of Hamas. There we have expanded our activity, and today we have added another brigade, and we are continuing to act there with the use of new military tactics above the ground and underneath.
Plumes of smoke rose over the border area between Israel and Lebanon on Wednesday as tension between the two countries remained high. The border between the two nations has seen escalating exchanges of fire, mainly between Israeli army and Hamas ally Hezbollah, since terror group Hamas attacked southern Israel on October 7th. Earlier, Israel said Hezbollah fired anti-tank missiles at a church on the Lebanon border on Tuesday, wounding 9 Israeli soldiers and a civilian, after which it fired rockets, drawing retaliatory airstrikes. Israel's emergency minister Benny Gantz on Wednesday warned Lebanon to stop Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel. In a televised address, Gantz said that the situation on Israel's northern border must change as the time for diplomacy is running out.
The situation on Israel's northern border demands change. The stopwatch for a diplomatic solution is running out. If the world and the Lebanese government don't act in order to prevent the firing on Israel's northern residents and to distance Hezbollah from the border, the IDF will do it.
French President Emmanuel Macron, during a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, demanded a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. French President told the Israeli Premier of his deepest concern about civilian deaths and the humanitarian emergency in Gaza. The French presidency in a statement said that France will work in the coming days in cooperation with Jordan to carry out humanitarian operations in Gaza. The U.S. government on Wednesday announced a $250 million military assistance package for Ukraine. The aid package, the final of 2023, will include arms and equipment, including air defense munitions, anti-armor munitions, ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, and more than 15 million rounds of small arms ammunition. Congress has approved more than $110 billion for Ukraine since Russia's attack on Ukraine, but it has not approved any funds since Republicans took control of the House of Representatives from Democrats in January this year. A Ukrainian attack on the Crimean port of Feodosia damaged a large Russian landing ship, killing 1 person and injuring 2 others on Tuesday. Before and after satellite images revealed the aftermath of the attack. The first image released by Maxar Technologies from December 5th shows the ship moored in the port. The second image from Tuesday shows smoke billowing and serious damage to the ship, which appears to have drifted away from the dockside. The Russian and Ukrainian armies continued to exchange fire on Wednesday, striking each other's military targets, according to official briefings from the two countries. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported in a briefing on Wednesday that its forces have repelled multiple attacks by the Ukrainian army, destroying Ukrainian artillery systems and armored vehicles. The Russian Air Defense Forces shot down a Ukrainian Mi-8 helicopter and intercepted Ukrainian missiles, rockets and several drones. The Ukrainian Air Force carried out airstrikes on Russian soldiers and equipment, and its rocket forces hit Russian ammunition depots and a command post. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. In a major win for Trump, Michigan court rejects bid to bar him from 2024 ballot. Jacques Delors, father of European integration, dies at 98. And signaling a promising start to 2024, we will tell you about the look of New Year's Eve ball in New York.
Well, 2023 is about to end, but it gave us a lot of memories to cherish, especially in the world of cinema. World really went Natu on the peppy beats of the famous movie RRR that got global recognition. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once that completely dominated the 95th Academy Awards. The remarkable career of Michael Douglas and the legend of Bollywood, Wahida Rahman, was bestowed with the most iconic Dada Saheb Phalke Lifetime Achievement Award.
Watch Ecos 2023 World Goes Natu at these times on 28th of December only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. Let's get you more international updates. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Mexico to tackle a surge in illegal immigration. On Wednesday, America's top diplomat met President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in the Mexican capital at a time when border crossings into the U.S. are hitting record numbers, with often as many as 10,000 migrants reaching the southern border per day and as thousands more trekked through Mexico towards the United States. Benji Haya gets us details.
This caravan of migrants and asylum seekers, the latest of an increasingly common phenomenon, is still hundreds of kilometres from the US-Mexico border, but it's already causing a major political headache for the Biden administration. Antony Blinken and his delegation of Homeland Security officials have this week been asking their Mexican counterparts to help stem the flow of people from Central and South American nations travelling to the United States by, for example, controlling transport routes or providing incentives for them not to journey further north. The White House is also requesting lawmakers here approve a financial package that includes extra funding for border security. Yet that remains stalled in Congress. No negotiations are scheduled until the new year. Mexico's president says the US government should offer more support to Latin America instead of, in his words, putting up barriers and building walls. The migration issue, he added, is only going to intensify and could well be top of the agenda during the election campaign stateside in 2024. Now, illegal immigration has been a consistent vulnerability for President Joe Biden, who promised on his first day in office to, quote, restore humanity and American values to the immigration system, following his predecessor Donald Trump's policies designed to restrict arrivals. Trump, running for the Oval Office again, won the presidency in 2016 with a pledge to build a wall on the Mexican border, claiming rapists were being sent across it. He's recently faced criticism for saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country and are coming from mental institutions, but he denies claims that his rhetoric mimics that used by the Nazis. Benji Haya in Washington, reporting for DD India.
New York City's Mayor Eric Adams on Wednesday announced an executive order requiring charter bus companies carrying migrants to give a 32-hour notice before arriving in the city. The announcement came during a press conference with Chicago and Denver mayor, who demanded more federal support for the influx of migrants into their cities. Adams said that if any buses found in violation of the rules could be impounded, and the bus companies will be charged with a Class B misdemeanor.
I'm announcing an executive order requiring charter buses transporting migrants, those often contracted by the state of Texas, to provide 32-hour notice in advance of their arrival into New York City. To make sure we have sufficient staffing, we are also requiring that these charter buses arrive only between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m., Monday through Friday, and to only drop off passengers at one spot unless directed otherwise by New York City Emergency Management.
The Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected a bid to remove Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot based on the U.S. Constitution's insurrectionist ban. Opponents wanted judges to force election officials to determine whether Trump's efforts to overturn his defeat in 2020 and the riot in Washington should make him ineligible to run again. But the court said in a brief ruling that it was not persuaded that the questions presented should be reviewed by this court ahead of the state's February 27 presidential primary. Later, after his victory in his fight against eligibility, Trump in a post said that the court strongly and rightfully denied what he called a desperate Democrat attempt to take him off the ballot in Michigan. Jacques Delors, a former European Commission president and founding father of the European Union's historic single currency project, died on Wednesday at the age of 98. Delors' daughter, Martine Aubry, said that her father died in his sleep at his home in Paris. Serving from 1985 to 1995, Delors served as the president of the European Commission, the EU executive, for 3 terms, longer than any other holder of the office. During Delors' dynamic decade as Commission chief, he helped create the single market, allowing free trade, free movement of people, goods and services within the bloc. After more Rohingya refugees arrived by boat in Indonesia on Wednesday, students staged a protest calling on the government to expel them. The protest came as police named more suspects in human trafficking. Since November, more than 1,500 Rohingyas have arrived at the tip of Sumatra, having fled violent attacks in Myanmar and now are leaving camps in neighboring Bangladesh in search of better lives. At least 40 people have died following the explosion of a gas tanker in north-central Liberia. The fuel truck crashed late on Tuesday in Totota, which is a lower Bong County, and soon after exploding, killing and injured many who had flocked to the scene. Dozens of people are still in hospital with serious burns, and the death toll could rise. According to United Nations figures, poor road safety and weak infrastructure have made sub-Saharan Africa the world's deadliest region for crashes, with the fatality rate 3 times higher than the European average. Foreign Minister of the African nation of Zambia, Stanley Kakubo, has resigned over irregularities in public dealings after growing public anger. The resignation comes after a video surfaced in which Kakubo was seen receiving cash from a Chinese businessman. Though he did not deny his presence in the video but rejected the claims of misappropriation in dealings, adding that he took the step in order to prevent the government from being affected by the controversy. The death toll from a series of attacks on villages in central Nigeria has climbed to almost 200. Local authorities had previously put the death toll at 163. Armed groups launched attacks between Saturday evening and Tuesday morning in Nigeria's Plateau State, a region plagued for several years by religious and ethnic tensions. There are fears the death toll could rise further as some people remain missing. Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday decreed the attacks and ordered security agencies to immediately move in, scour every stretch of the zone and apprehend the culprits. Plateau State Governor also called for united efforts to identify and apprehend those responsible for the heinous attacks. Kenyan police are investigating the suspected killings of 4 men on a Del Monte pineapple farm near Nairobi. following a media report that security guards had killed and assaulted the trespassing villagers. Del Monte, a multinational food company, has alleged rampant organized crime in the region. After 5 days of searching, 2 bodies were found in the river. A truck driver in Palm Beach County in Florida was rescued from an accident after losing control of his 18-wheeler while hauling scrap metal. The driver, who was transported to a local hospital with no serious injuries, gestured to the sky in gratitude after being rescued. The incident shut down a part of Florida Turnpike. Let's get to an update on weather now. At least 40 people have died in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo due to heavy downpour, causing floods and landslides. Residents were digging through mud to find bodies, with at least 20 deaths in Bukavu and 20 more in Burenie village. Poor urban planning and weak infrastructure make hand-scrabble communities more vulnerable to extreme rainfall, which is becoming more intense and frequent in Africa due to warming temperatures. UN climate experts warn of increased vulnerability in these communities. Storm Gerrit caused snow, severe winds and a lot of rain in Scotland. As a result, residences were flooded and transportation was impacted. A seriously flooded road was captured on camera in the Scottish hamlet of Cupar. The longest route in Scotland, the A9, has also been affected by terrible weather, resulting in standstills and closures in some areas. Heavy rains in Peru's northeastern region of Loreto left dozens of families homeless. The rains began on December 26th and continued into the morning, affecting residential areas. Peru's National Meteorology and Hydrology Service has warned that Loreto area is on red alert due to potential further flood damage. More than 25,000 people were affected as flooding hit Thailand's Patani province. Runoffs from Ryuso district in Narathiwat flowed into Saiburi district of Patani province late last Wednesday night, worsening the flooding in an already inundated district. While conditions worsened in Saiburi, Songkhla, Patani, Yala, Narathiwat and Saturn are seeing gradual relief through most areas, though most areas remain inundated. About 10 small hospitals in Yala and Narathiwat have been closed due to flooding. Emergency health units have been set up to provide treatment to the flood-affected victims. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. The Royal Mint has unveiled new British coins for 2024, featuring coins to commemorate special occasions like the National Gallery's 200-year anniversary, Winston Churchill's 150th birth anniversary, and the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Grammy-winning Colombian singer Shakira has been immortalized in a bronze statue in her home city of Barranquilla in Colombia. The 6.5-meter sculpture, created by artist Yino Marquez, shows Shakira belly dancing with her arms overhead. The Eiffel Tower was closed to the public on Wednesday after staff went on strike on the 100th anniversary of the death of its Crete oath. Also, disappointed tourists who had booked tickets to access the 134-year-old monument were told that it was shut and that they could be contacted by email. Law Connect skipper Christian Beck won the Sydney to Hobart yacht race by 51 seconds, overcoming Andrew Comanche. The race was a close finish with thousands of spectators attending. The winning time was 1 day, 19 hours, 3 minutes and 58 seconds, well outside the record set by Comanche in 2017. The New Year's Eve ball, created in collaboration with Fontainebleau, has been presented with a bow tie pattern, signaling a promising start to 2024. The New Year's Eve in New York, the ball will descend from 1 Times Square with illuminated bow ties. A short break ahead on DD India News Hour, but when we come back, AIIMS in Delhi issues guidelines for suspected COVID cases following the sudden surge in the country. A tragic bus accident in Madhya Pradesh came heavy on many. Ex gratia announced for the deceased. Amidst the excitement, Ayodhya railway station renamed. We will tell you the details ahead.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Russian President invites India's Prime Minister Modi to visit Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron tells Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the need for durable ceasefire as Israel launches heavy strikes across Hamas targets in Gaza. US announces $250 million military assistance package for Ukraine. And in sports, South Africa takes lead on the second day of the Test match against India after an unbeaten century from veteran Dean Elgar and 50 on debut from David Bedingham. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the third National Conference of Chief Secretaries in the national capital. Driven by the vision of the Prime Minister of putting the principles of cooperative federalism in action, this year the National Conference of Chief Secretaries will be held from 27 to 29 December. The three-day conference will witness participation of more than 200 representatives and senior officials. It will lay the ground for collaborative action for achieving better quality of life for both rural and urban population by strengthening the delivery mechanisms of government interventions. The key focus of the National Conference of Chief Secretaries this year will be ease of living. The conference will emphasize on the evolution and implementation of a common development agenda and blueprint for cohesive action in partnership with the states. In the wake of Tuesday's explosion near the Israeli embassy in New Delhi, security around the area has been beefed up. Additional paramilitary forces have been deployed outside the embassy at India's capital. A blast was reported near the embassy around 5:10 p.m. on December 26th. While the special cell of Delhi police is investigating the matter, India's leading probe body, the NIA, visited the site and carried out preliminary inspection. In a tragic accident, at least 12 passengers were killed and 14 were injured after a bus collided with a truck and caught fire in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The injured have been admitted to the nearest hospital and are undergoing treatment. The Chief Minister of the state announced an ex ratio of Rs 400,000 each to the kin of the deceased and Rs 50,000 each to the injured. He also ordered a probe into the accident. The police have registered a case and are investigating the accident. Let's get you the weather update from the national capital. Since early morning, visibility in Delhi has dropped to almost zero. Over hundreds of flights have been delayed and diverted. Trains are also running late by more than 5 to 7 hours. IMD has issued advisory to take caution while driving. However, the situation is likely to improve after 11 a.m. DD India correspondent Dibyendu Mondal joins us for more. Dibyendu, yesterday the dense fog grabbed headlines, but you there on Delhi roads, do you see the morning better today?
Well, Preeti, yes, today's morning seems much better than what it was yesterday. And of course, yesterday night, the visibility in Delhi dropped to almost zero, and more than 134 flights had to be diverted or cancelled at Delhi that have been arriving. and departing. This includes both the domestic and international flights. But since morning today, the situation has improved. And I have been speaking to people, in fact, officials at the Delhi airport. And the current visibility at the Delhi airport is over 500 meters, which is considered ideal for landing and takeoff. So the situation at the Delhi airport is currently all right, and the delays that are being reported from the Delhi airport is due to the morning rush hour, where between 5 a.m. to 7, in fact 8 a.m., many of the flights had to be delayed, so the backlogs are being cleared. Currently at the Delhi airport, which is the reason many flights which were supposed to depart at 10 are being pushed back. So the situation with regards to fog in Delhi has improved, but however, the Met Department has said, that the next 2 to 3 days is also crucial to ensure that, in fact, has said that the fog could persist in the Delhi NCR and, in fact, in the northern India plains. Let me also tell our viewers that several trains have also been running late, ranging from 3 hours to about 8 hours. The trains which were supposed to reach in Delhi in the morning hours have been pushed back and are reaching Delhi at about 5 to 6 hours late. So officials, the Met officials, as well as the railway and airport authorities have been informing passengers about the delays, and they have instructed passengers to check before they leave for their train or for their flight to the airport or to the station.
All right, Dipendu, thank you so much for joining in with all those details. And let's turn focus to other updates with the once-in-a-lifetime event, that is the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, is scheduled on January 22nd, and we know that it is approaching closer. The excitement of people is rising higher with each passing day. Indian Railways too has tripped in to do something for Ram Lalla and Ayodhya. The Ayodhya railway station has been given a huge makeover and has been renamed as Ayodhya Dham Junction. It will be inaugurated on 30th December by Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with the Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram International Airport. The much-awaited Ram Temple in Ayodhya is all set to welcome Ram Lalla on January 22nd, and with every state contributing in to devote something special in honor of Lord Ram and the special day. Following the trend, Tamil Nadu is sending 42 large bells that will adorn the Ram Temple, meticulously prepared by skilled artisans from Andal Moulding Works of Namakkal district, weighing a total of 1,250 kilograms and individually weighing between 2 to 2.5 tons. These bells are on their way to Ayodhya from Bengaluru after a special puja ceremony. Chief Minister of the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, is scheduled to visit Ayodhya on Thursday to take stock of preparations and other arrangements ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's arrival on December 30th for the inauguration of Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram International Airport and Ayodhya Dham Junction. Chief Minister will also hold a review meeting with officials regarding Prime Minister's arrival. India's Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra journey is a journey that is being undertaken across the country. The aim is to attain saturation of flagship schemes of the government by ensuring that the benefits of these schemes reach all the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. A program featuring India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dialogue with beneficiaries was broadcast at all the Gram Panchayats and urban areas of Bikaner district in Rajasthan on Wednesday. Special efforts were made to ensure that the Prime Minister's message reached as many people as possible, including through the Rajasthan Language Literature Academy's Muralidhar Vyas Colony. Camps were set up at Gram Panchayats to facilitate smooth dissemination of the Prime Minister's message. District-level programs were also organized at Uday Ramsar and in the City of Literature Academy. Here, people had the opportunity to receive information about central schemes. Hundreds of people from Block Barnoti in Kathua, Jammu and Kashmir, attended the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra at Panchayat Tehrara. Several beneficiaries who were present expressed their views and shared their success stories in the segment Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani. India ranks third with 72 unicorns valued at $195.75 billion. India is emerging as the epicenter of innovation and economic transformation. Tapas Bhattacharya has filed this detailed report.
India is scripting a narrative of economic resurgence like never before. Join me as we unravel India's startup success story and how it's impacting the whole world in this special report. In the heart of innovation, India emerges as a powerhouse, charting an economic trajectory that rivals the best. Fueling this economic accent is India's dynamic startup ecosystem, a breeding ground for unicorns. Over 112,000 startups have come up since 2014, propelling the nation into a global hub of ideas and cutting-edge technologies. As India transitions from service-oriented to a beacon of product innovation, its GDP is poised to surge 5 to 10% by 2030. A surge fueled by rising household incomes expected to reach new heights, with 50% of households projected to earn over $6,000 by 2030. The startup ecosystem, a catalyst for this transformation, has burgeoned with more than 100,000 startups since 2014, turning the nation into a hotbed of ideas and groundbreaking technologies. Over 23 million households are expected to earn more than $12,000, further contributing to economic growth. Tier 2 cities are becoming tech hubs, fostering the innovation beyond traditional landscapes. Government initiatives like Startup India have nurtured over 114,000 startups, creating over 1.2 million jobs.
The success of Bharat in the global startup ranking reflects a transformation from a mindset of uncertainty to the possibility. Now you can experience a journey from it can't be to it can be. And thank you Bharat Sarkar, thank you Sri Modi ji. And because of that, now we can dare to be a Vyapari from Karmachari.
ये साल 2023 आईटी इंडस्ट्री और स्टार्टअप के नज़रिए से हम एक बेहतर साल कह सकते हैं, क्योंकि कोविड के बाद जो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट आया था वो छोटे और जो स्टार्टअप की जो कंपनियां थी ये सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट हुई थी. बट थैंक्स टू इंडियन गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज़ एंड स्पेशली थैंक्स टू मोदी जी, जिन्होंने समय रहते ही बहुत बेहतरीन पॉलिसीज़ बनाई और उसको अप्लाई भी किया.
1,300 new tech startups coming up in 2019 alone. Women entrepreneurs play a crucial role, constituting 14% of the startup ecosystem, marking a significant increase from the previous years. With a consistent annual growth of 12 to 15%, the startup surge is reshaping economic landscapes. The stage is set for a new era of progress, innovation, and economic prowess, with Indian startups at the forefront of shaping the nation's destiny. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
And now we take a look at other stories from India making it to the headlines. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIIMS in Delhi, has issued guidelines for COVID suspected or positive cases that will be reported at hospitals following the sudden surge in the cases of COVID in the country. As per the policy on COVID testing will be done for patients with severe acute respiratory infection like symptoms that include acute infection, persistent fever with cough and onset within last 10 days. As India is all set to commemorate its 75th Republic Day celebration, amid the chilling cold weather in Delhi, the Delhi police personnel were seen doing rehearsal for the parade. In India, the Republic Day is celebrated every year to honor the Constitution as it came into force on this day. The Republic Day celebrations include a traditional march past at Kartavya Path, comprising a grand parade by the contingents of armed forces and paramilitary forces. To support the farmers, India's Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved minimum support price for copra, which is the dried white flesh of the coconut from which coconut oil is extracted, for 2024 season. The MSP for 2024 season is an increase of 300 rupees per quintal for milling copra and 250 rupees per quintal for ball copra over the previous season. India's National Metro Rail Corporation on Wednesday approved the detailed project report for the proposed Sector 142 to Botanical Garden Metro section in Delhi. The project will provide direct connectivity to Delhi Airport's Terminal 1 through Magenta Line of Delhi Metro. The second arm of the Aqua Line is likely to be ready in 36 months. A short break ahead on DD India News Hour, but after the break, the New York Times sues OpenAI and Microsoft over AI and use of copyrighted work, which the newspaper claims were used to train artificial intelligence programs. Good news for Apple as it resumes sale of its latest smartwatches in US as the ban over a patent row was lifted. An Indian women's cricket team faces Australia in the first one-day international match in Mumbai.
Well, 2023 is about to end, but it gave us a lot of memories to cherish, especially in the world of cinema. World really went Natu Natu on the peppy beats of the famous movie RRR that got global recognition. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once that completely dominated the 95th Academy Awards. The remarkable career of Michael Douglas and the legend of Bollywood, Waheeda Rehman, was bestowed with the most iconic Dada Saheb Phalke Lifetime Achievement Award.
Watch Echoes 2023 World Goes Natu Natu at these times on 28th of December only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business now. The New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft on claims of copyright infringement. The newspaper claims its articles were used to train artificial intelligence programs. William Denslow reports from New York on this.
According to reports, the New York Times held talks earlier this year with Microsoft and OpenAI to try and find an amicable resolution to this dispute. Ultimately, that wasn't proven to be successful. The New York Times moving forward with a lawsuit that's been filed in Manhattan's Federal District Court. The newspaper claims that the two tech firms created products that are taking audiences away from the newspaper. It also alleges that millions of New York Times articles have been used by the tech firms to train automated chatbots. OpenAI claims that the use of articles is protected under fair use. According to investors, OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, is worth over $80 billion. Microsoft, for its part, has invested $13 billion into the AI tech company. Now, this is the first time that a major media company has filed a lawsuit of this kind, but isn't the first time that some people have filed lawsuits with regard to the use of intellectual property and artificial intelligence. A number of authors, as well as comedian Sarah Silverman, have filed lawsuits against AI companies because of the use of their intellectual property, they claim, in the training of artificial intelligence. Now, according to some analysts, these kind of disputes, because this technology is just so new, could wind up being fought in the US Supreme Court. This lawsuit filed by the New York Times doesn't specify how much they're seeking from these tech giants, but according to the lawsuit, the New York Times is seeking billions of dollars in damages. William Denslow in New York, reporting for DD India.
Apple's latest smartwatches can resume being sold in the US after the appeals court paused a previous ban on imports. Apple Inc. said that the most advanced Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2 were available at US stores on Wednesday and can be purchased online starting from Thursday noon. Earlier, sales of Apple's latest smartwatches had been halted in the US over a patent row. US's trade body had barred imports and sale of Apple Watches with technology for reading blood oxygen levels. Device maker Massimo had accused Apple of poaching its staff and technology. However, the iPhone maker made an emergency request to the US Court of Appeals, which proved successful in getting the ban lifted. Let's get to action from the markets now. Asian equities started on low key on Thursday, but India's stocks continued to extend further gains as the US markets moved closer to new highs in anticipation of rate cut by the Federal Reserve. India's benchmark stock market indices continued their impressive run on Thursday. hitting fresh record highs for the second consecutive session. The BSE Sensex reached a record high of 72,360.51, while NSE Nifty also achieved an all-time high of 21,745 in early trade. At around 9:42 a.m., the Sensex was up 259.14 points at 72,297, and the Nifty rose 77 points to 21,731. Japan's Nikkei, however, fell by 0.59%, while broader Topix index was down by 0.3%. South Korea's Kospi showed a marginal gain of 0.24% during the opening hours. In the US, Dow Jones rose by 0.3%, the S&P 500 by 0.14%, and the Nasdaq composite by 0.16%. Crude oil prices dropped almost 2% amid signs of a US stockpile build and weak technical indicators. West Texas Intermediate traded below $74, while Brent crude remained under $80 per barrel. India's public sector bank, State Bank of India, raised interest rates on fixed deposits by up to 0.5% across all deposits. For short-term deposits between 7 days to 45 days, the interest rate has been increased by 50 basis points from 3% to 3.5%. The bank's move to raise interest rates on deposits below rupees 20 million is likely to be followed by other lenders. A fixed deposit is an investment instrument where an amount is deposited with banks for a set period and at a fixed rate of interest. Now, these changes in the interest rates by State Bank of India aim to provide better returns to depositors on their FDs. And after business, we now turn focus to sports updates. In cricket, an unbeaten century from veteran Dean Elgar and 50 on debut from David Bedingham allowed South Africa to take an 11-run lead with 5 wickets in hand over India when bad light ended play on the second day of the first test at Centurion. The 36-year-old Elgar played one of the best innings of his long career as he scored an emotive 140 not out to help the hosts to 256 for 5 in reply to India's first innings total of 245. He will resume on Thursday with Marco Jansen, who has 3, with South Africa seeking to build a substantive lead. Elgar played some unusually flamboyant front foot strokes in a chanceless innings against a fearsome attack on a track set up for the seamers. He brought up his ton in 140 balls and featured in 2 important partnerships. First, for 93 runs for the second wicket with Tony D. Zorzi, which set a good foundation, and then 131 with Bedingham for the 4th wicket. The 29-year-old Bedingham looked assured and confident on debut as he scored 56 before being bowled by Mohammad Siraj, who finished the day with figures of 2 for 63. Jasprit Bumrah also took 2 wickets, squaring up D. Zorzi for 28 and forcing a thick edge to 3rd slip and then bowling Keegan Peterson for 2. The Indian women's cricket team faces Australia in the first one-day international match in Mumbai on Thursday. The Indian team, under the captaincy of Harmanpreet Kaur, will look to take the lead in the 3-match series. The next 2 ODIs will be played on December 30th and January 2nd. The action will then shift to Navi Mumbai, which will host the 3 T20 internationals on 5th, 7th and 9th January. Australian team, headed by Alisa Healy, boasts a formidable lineup, including Elise Perry, Ashley Gardner and Jess Jonathan. Australia women have consistently outperformed Indian women in the ODIs, winning 40 out of their 50 encounters. The women in blue registered an 8-wicket win on Saturday to clinch their first ever test win against Australia. Carlos Alcaraz came back from a set down to beat world number 1 Novak Djokovic 4-6, 6-4, 6-4 in a hard-fought exhibition match in Riyadh. Alcaraz started strong by breaking the Serb's serve in the opening game. However, Djokovic answered back with 2 breaks of his own to take the opening set 6-4. The Spaniard then started the second set by breaking Djokovic once again. He then held his serve to secure the second set 6-4 to force a deciding third set. The third set was an epic back and forth battle with Alcaraz getting a break in the third game, only to see Djokovic level once again in the 6th. A string of errors by Djokovic allowed the world number 2 to take the upper hand back when he secured the deciding break to go up 5-4. The match is a preview to January's Australian Open as the world's top 2 players get into gear for the 2024 season.
He's one of the leaders of the sport today, and definitely he's going to carry this game in the future years to come. In the next 10-15 years, we're going to see a lot of him. So tennis is in good hands.
As you said, I grew up watching him winning the big tournaments, and I always dream about being in this position, playing against him face to face, and I'm really happy to be able to do that, and hopefully keep going. As I said many times, and himself said as well, he seems like he's 20, so we are gonna set the court more than once. So it's amazing.
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.